Something that I feel like a lot of game developers don't do very often are overhauls. In order to keep live service games fresh, overhauls are generally needed. If you don't know what an overhaul is, it's exactly as it sounds. It means going over a mechanic, a set of abilities, a code, graphics, things like that. Overhauling basically just means going over something within the game in a general global sense and updating it to a fresher perspective. Sometimes that even means updating it to be more in line with other things that have come down the road. Like, for example, I feel like there needs to be a Mori overhaul to a lot of the older killers so that their Moris could be more in line with some of the more recent Moris in terms of brutality and intrigue and cinematography and things like that. But the reason that it's important to overhaul things is to keep the game fresh and interesting while not necessarily adding new stuff. Sometimes an overhaul can be adding new things, but sometimes it's just about updating features that have since become outdated. And sometimes it's also about making the game a little less annoying to play. And so today I've come up with 3 things that I feel like behavior needs to overhaul in order to make the game feel just a little bit better. Okay, a lot better. Collisions. God fucking damn it. Maining the Hillbilly has made me realize how utterly unpolished the collision in this game is. If there was like one major thing I would criticize behavior on, it is the collision in this game. So many maps I just hit what is apparently thin air. And this isn't just for Billy. I remember I was playing Plague on Rotten Fields and I went to puke on the survivor. I looked up so that I could send the puke further and it collided with the air above a piece of corn. And it was just that one singular piece of corn had collision above the air. People have also posted clips like playing Blight, for example, where they are colliding on literally nothing on like staircases. They're just bumping off of thin air. I released, I think actually this week, when you guys are seeing this video, I released a compilation of Billy collision, or it had Billy collision problems in it, where again, I was banging off of thin air. It was ridiculous. One of those clips, I ended up charging and then just getting stuck on nothing. I didn't even collide with anything. I just got stuck on nothing. And then that's just like environmental collision. That doesn't count like the way that like survivor hitboxes interact. Like sometimes for survivors, hits can feel incredibly unfair. They can, you'll see a hit register from like a billion miles away. This is mostly due to latency, admittedly. But like for Billy, I cannot count the number of times a survivor is kissing my chainsaw and they don't go down. But if that survivor would have been a wall or a tree or something like that, then I would have banged off of it. The collision in this game is just very unpolished, and it's very frustrating when you make the correct play and you lose the chase because of bad collision. And it's just something that I feel like behavior needs to go. They need to go through all the maps. They need to go through all the killers, and they need to go through all the survivors, and they need to just tighten up hitboxes on everything. Everything needs to match its model, because if I cannot rely on visual feedback from the model, then I can't rely on anything in the game. Does that make sense? Locker spawns. I'm going to show you a dredge clip from one of my recent compilations.
There are no lockers over there. There's not a single... What is this? What is this?
This is a common problem that tends to happen. You notice it a lot more when you're playing Dredge, obviously, because you rely on lockers for half of the killer's kit. But you'll also notice it when you're playing Trickster or Huntress, where you'll down somebody and you'll be like, I need to reload. And then you turn around and the nearest locker is like 20 meters away. And I don't really understand this design, in my opinion. For me, at least in my viewpoint, locker spawns need to be increased on most of the maps, but there also needs to be a normalization of locker spawns. So they need to always have at least one locker spawned by every generator, and every exit gate should always have at least one locker spawn within a 10-meter radius of it. Or 15. We can say either 10 or 15 meters. I would say 10 to be safe. This way, there is always a locker available at key locations. But then I think that we need to start re-looking at the term locker and applying it to other stuff. I saw an idea in one of my comment sections one time that was really cool, where they said that the trunks of cars on Haddonfield could be like lockers. That would be cool. I also have always thought that we should have more places for survivors to hide, like under beds or in closets or something like that. And that can further go into the locker mechanic. Like, could you imagine if you were repairing something on, if you were repairing the basement gen on Batum, for example, and you turn your camera around, and from underneath the bed in that room, not the mattress on the floor, but the bed in that room, the fucking dredge just crawls out from underneath it. That would be so fucking cool and like so interesting. And while they are all effectively lockers, they still do the same thing as lockers. It adds a more dynamic and immersive flow into the game. So that's actually what I think should happen when it comes to lockers. And finally, third, they need to overhaul the progression system. Now, I have already done a full video dedicated to how I would do the progression system and the prestiges and how I would handle it. And I might go and do another one because I haven't watched that video in a while and it might be a tad outdated. But in my opinion, there needs to be more reasons to prestige your characters. Getting your characters to level 9 basically is the end of it. You can get them to 100 if you want, but even getting them to 100 doesn't give you anything, which is really fucking weird. I don't understand it. And Behavior tried to give some piss poor excuse back in the day where they were like, oh, we don't want to give P100 rewards because we don't want people to feel like they're missing out. And then they do event limited cosmetics any fucking way. So, okay. The point is that progression needs a serious overhaul. It needs to be updated. The prestige needs to give rewards at certain points. I've always said that 1 through 10 should give guaranteed rewards, and then you get a new reward at level 25, level 50, level 75, and then finally level 100 is like the Mac Daddy of rewards. What those rewards are, we could talk about them all day. I've always said that they should come with cosmetics, right? So 25, 50, and 75 would have like special like entity based cosmetics would be really cool. And then level 100 could be like a legendary cosmetic that's like very specific to the character and their lore, something you can only get from being prestige 100. And then other people have suggested things like character, they came out with the player cards now. So character portraits, player card banners, things like that. There's just so many things that you can do. But that's just, that's the way that I look at it. But of course, I don't make these videos just to spout my opinions at you. I make these videos so that you guys can tell me what you think. So please let me know down below. And as always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today and get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. Love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.